We've spent a whole weekend in the Arctic Circle, but now it's time to try and find warmer climes. Welcome to Travelcaster. Our journey so far has taken us to Bodø in northern Norway and up here to Narvik, well into the Arctic Circle. Now though, this is where the Europe north to south trip really begins. We're taking a train all the way to the Swedish capital, Stockholm. So join us for the journey. So here come the practicalities. We're travelling 1,300 kilometres from Narvik in Norway to the Swedish capital of Stockholm. It's going to take us the best part of a day to get there, 24 hours, including a night train from the Swedish city of Bodø. But first we've got to get there on another train from Narvik that departs here at 9:30 every morning. And with your Eurail or Interrail pass, you'll get a substantial discount as well, even though reservations are compulsory. So the train's arrived. This is going all the way to Luleå in Sweden. We're going off to Bodø Central. 2-carriage train. Just going to go up the stairs. There are people here with skis. Hello, people with skis. And inside, just one class of accommodation today. But these are comfortable old seats with a good view. At Travelcaster, we're all about sustainable travel wherever possible, and we're also about getting good value. Take, for instance, the Arctic train. 3 times a day during the season, it leaves Narvik station and brings you into the Arctic Circle, even further over the border into Sweden. And a round-trip ticket on that train will cost around €50. However, if you just take the SJ Swedish Railways regular service from Narvik over the Swedish border, a one-way ticket will cost you less than €8, €16 return. You see, you don't have to pay the tourist prices to get the best views. Well, we're about a third of a way through the journey now to Bodø station, and we've stopped here at Bjørkliden, which is 420 metres above sea level. It's right in the mountains, and there are people with skis and suitcases boarding the train. We've stopped here for a short break because we're actually ahead of schedule, which is nice to know after that earlier delay. It is a beautiful sunny day today. Temperature is above freezing. It feels about 4 Celsius out here, and the setting is absolutely beautiful. If you get a chance to stop on these journeys, do pop off the train. Just ask the conductor how long you can stay for. Take a photo or two. Admire the scenery. It's lovely. We are well into Sweden now and on track to make our connection in Bodø for the night train on time, which is good news. Bit of drama though along the way. First of all, Torneträsk is one of Sweden's biggest lakes. Not the biggest, but it goes for 79 kilometres. And when the train rounds the edge of the lake, you get the most amazing views. It is stunning. And then a little bit more drama along the way. As we were heading towards Kiruna, we were told that the train wouldn't stop there today because the high winds have blown the roof from the station. Instead, we took a different route around the south of Kiruna, which gave us a chance to see one of the giant iron ore plants in this region. And it's the very reason that this train exists at all, this track exists at all, to take the iron ore from the middle of Sweden out to the Arctic coast at Narvik. A fascinating contrast between the sheer beauty of the Arctic landscape and the very real and lucrative industry that goes on around here.
Travelcaster, travel tips.
When travelling independently, it's likely you'll be relying quite a bit on your smartphone. It can be a lifesaver when it comes to getting directions, translating a foreign language, or simply making a payment for a meal. But do beware that in recent years things have changed. Many UK operators no longer allow free roaming across the European Union, but there are often packages around. where you pay a set fee to get all the benefits of your data as you would at home. Offers vary widely, so make sure you make your plans before you travel, or you might be hit with an unwelcome bill. And do make the most of free Wi-Fi in hotels, bars, transport hubs, and shopping malls.
This tip was brought to you by Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. For more tips and inspiration on how to plan your next trip, head to travelcaster.blog. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast.
Well, thankfully, the sleeper train has arrived. This is a very efficient system because the rooms are all open. And it's very much done on trust that you find your own berth. I'm just coming into mine now, closing the door. And we have, well, what looks like the traditional bunk beds, but actually the lower bunk has got a bit of a table in the middle of it, a fold-down table, which is very good, I think, for, sitting down and relaxing on the train before you go to bed. Not all sleepers have this configuration. Now, I booked a private sleeper compartment, and with my Interrail pass, this has come in at less than €70 for a night's accommodation, including breakfast, which isn't bad. And because it's first class as well, I've got a little bathroom through here with a sink, toilet, and yes, a shower. And here we are, Tuesday morning, going through the countryside north of Stockholm. However, because of my first class ticket, I got a free breakfast box, which consists of cheese and eggs. There's some fruit juice, some muesli, tea and coffee, and a couple of rolls. If you haven't got that first class ticket though, the breakfast box is about €6, so quite good value anyway, but you do have to get up early. 5:30 was my alarm call. Never mind, arriving into Stockholm first thing in the morning means I've got a whole day to explore it, an extra day that I might not have had I arrived perhaps in the afternoon on one of the later trains, so everything's a bonus as far as I'm concerned. So having arrived in Stockholm, it turned out that my first class ticket also entitled me to access the SJ Lounge, the Swedish Railways lounge here at Central Station. Very nice it was too. The only thing is, I did think it had showers in it, and it doesn't. I think it used to, so I didn't have a shower on the train, and then there wasn't a shower available in the lounge. But there was a very tasty second breakfast, and if it's free, why not? So after some coffee and some more cheese, I've arrived here at the front of the Central Station. My accommodation is about a kilometre up the main street, which looks very busy this morning. It's about 7:30 on a Tuesday morning. Commuters already going about their business. It's going to be too early to check into the hotel, but at least I can dump my bags there and get out exploring. Like any capital city, it can be hard to get your head around a place like Stockholm because it's so enormous. But the way that I treat it is like a series of different districts and villages. Pick a village and go and explore it. I'm staying in the Vasastan district, and before me I can see the Stockholm City Library, a beautiful bit of Art Deco architecture, a sort of square frontage with a rotunda on top of it, although at the moment it's all kind of wrapped up because there's some renovations going on. And behind me is Gustav Vasa Church. Gustav Vasa, he was the guy who founded modern day Sweden, so he's a national hero, and he also founded the modern Church of Sweden. And if we go in this particular church, before the school children get off that bus and come up behind me, we can see the most beautiful bit of architecture, a huge altar with statues and a cross in the middle of it, golden adornments all around, and if I turn around, there is the most enormous organ. That's going to sound good during a recital, isn't it? And it's another Travelcaster tip. You know that if you're a regular listener to the podcast, we like our churches because on the whole, they are free to visit. Some want donations, some charge a small admission, but most don't. And you can just go in, have a sit down, take some pictures, and explore a bit of the area's history. Vasastan, better than the old town? Well, maybe. Now, eventually in Stockholm, you are going to want to see the famous sights. And one of the best ways of getting around is by using the underground, the tunnelbanan. There are stations all over the city like this one. And all you have to do is download the SL app. Load up your tickets. A 24-hour pass is going to cost you around about €10. And all you do is scan the QR code whenever you go into the underground or ride a bus. And that's valid for all of the public transport in Stockholm. So, the station you want is Gamla stan, the old town. We've just arrived here and it's getting very busy because I've got a date with the royal family. No, really, come this way. Because a 10-minute walk has brought me here to Sweden's royal castle. And yes, it is still a working royal residence. Today, though, you can go inside. And I've got a ticket. Now, once you're inside the palace, you get to see the royal apartments. And it's really interesting to see the contrast between the past and the present. Here we are in Lovisa Ulrika's audience chamber, dating back to 1754. It's extremely opulent. There's a big gold throne in the middle of it. But if we go over here, we've got a completely different setup. This is Carl Gustav's Jubilee Room, presented to him in 1998. And there's nothing opulent about it at all. This is designed with Swedish modern furniture to represent what the panel says is a summer's day. Looks like it might have come from IKEA.
Pass på! Jag ska bevaka västra stadsplanet, stadens västra fasad samt yttre vårdgårdens angränsande delar.
For those not familiar with Swedish, that is the changing of the guard at Stockholm's Royal Palace. Happens every day at 12:15. It's quite a spectacular sight. Now, I've got to say, the young men and women guarding the palace do look very young. They look like they're barely out of school. And that's because military service is compulsory in Sweden. Although only a fraction of young people are actually called up to serve, it became compulsory once again in 2017 due to increased security concerns in this part of Europe. And when you think about it, we're not that far from Russia. We're not that far from what's happening in Ukraine. And that has made a lot of people very nervous indeed. On the other hand, this is a ceremony that goes back centuries.
You're listening to Travelcaster. To see where we've been in this episode, just head to travelcaster.blog, where you'll find all the information you need on how to get here and what to do when you arrive. And to get inspiration for your next trip, remember to subscribe to the pod.
This is Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.
Stockholm by night. You could stick around in the old town and do all of the touristy things in all the touristy places. Or you could take the tunnelbahn or your bus a couple of steps further to Slussen, because this is the district of Södermalm. It's one of the oldest parts of Stockholm and today is a real bohemian hub. Now, when you first get off the tunnelbahn at the Slussen, it may not seem like the most inviting of places, but looks can be deceiving. Do not judge the book by its cover. Some bars have flags of the nations or the regions on the ceiling. This place, the Oliver Twist, has flags of beers. Many beers are served here from all over the world, and I've got a lovely IPA here, a pint of which did come in at over €10, but it's a tasty one, it's a real ale. And this isn't the only craft beer place in this district. Now, if you must come to the old town and you must drink in one place, it should be here, just around the corner from the city hall. Stampen, the world famous jazz pub. Come with me inside and listen to this. This is absolutely marvellous. Day 2 in Stockholm, and I've decided to get out of the city centre because I've seen the old town before, and yesterday we went to the Royal Palace, we did all the touristy things, but there's plenty to see around about Stockholm if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, and that's what we're doing today. Our SL bus ticket on the app covers us for all of this journey, and I've had to change buses. I've got one out of the city. I'm now on a dual carriageway in the pouring rain, which isn't great. Hopefully the weather's going to clear up a bit later for our destination, which is by the sea, well, at least on the water. So it's taken us just about 35 minutes to get out of the centre of Stockholm to here, Vaxholm, one of the many towns and villages along the coastline. It's not really a coastline, they're inlets from the Baltic Sea, but Vaxholm is one of the most important. This is a fairly large small town, if I can put it that way. Lots of accommodation around here, lots of summer houses, I'm told, but also a big local community as well. There's a supermarket, a few shops, a school, and a rather beautiful church, next to which is an old firehouse. But the real history of Vaxholm is down by the harbour. Come this way. You see, Vaxholm's story began in 1540 when King Gustav Vasa ordered the town to become a fortress, because this was the narrowest part of the strait leading into Stockholm itself. The idea being that if you could protect the strait, you protected the rest of the city. And over the next century or so, it became a proper garrison town until the 1800s, when the existing fortress was completely rebuilt, and it's on an island just over the water from here. Hard to see in this weather today, but that fortress, although it looked imposing, has always been a deterrent. It's never been used for any combat action. And if you think it sounds a little bit busy today, it's because as we record this in March 2026, the town centre square and strand is being completely redeveloped and upgraded. There's loads of construction going on, which spoils the view a little bit. As I say, if there was a view, because it's raining today and we can hardly see anything, and it's a little bit noisy. But along this waterfront are some really attractive little restaurants and coffee shops, and with it being so windy and wet today, it's a bit early in the day, but I'm going to go for a fika. That's a coffee and cake. I can just picture the scene on a beautiful summer's day, looking out over the water, over the islands beyond Vaxholm, and having a lovely cold beer outside. There are restaurants, as I mentioned, and cafes. The cafe I went to for my fika is called Boulangerie. Yeah, you know, like the French thing. And beautiful, beautiful cakes and toasties were had therein. Now, you can get to Vaxholm via the ferry, if you want, from the middle of Stockholm. It takes a little bit longer than the bus, about an hour and a half, and it stops off at various places along the way. And although it's not free, if you have got an SL ticket, i.e. a travel pass for other forms of transport, you also get a discount for using the boat. Lovely way to travel here in the summer months. Yes, Vaxholm is definitely one for a different day. Now, for some reason, there is an abundance of English pubs in Stockholm, English-themed bars. I'm not quite sure why, and they're not as tacky as they sound. Yes, you can buy some real ale there, some Fuller's ESB, for instance, at a price, of course. In this part of the world, they're known as brun pubs, brown pubs, with a traditional dark oak-panelled interior, but there's loads of them about. The one I went to tonight was called the Queen's Arms in Stockholm, in Vasastan, the neighbourhood I've been staying in. That's going to wrap up our time in Stockholm. It's time to move on as we head further south on our trip across Europe. To find out how to get here and what to do when you arrive, head to travelcaster.blog, where you'll see all of the information of where we've been. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and join us again soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.